Hello and welcome to another update on Bitcoin dominance, which is still pushing higher at the moment overall. Not necessarily today. Today it's been quite neutral, still holding just below 66%. We have not quite reached that yellow trend line there. Quick reminder, what we're dealing with, if I zoom out a little bit, you can see this trend line here, the yellow trend line pointing to the downside. This overall broader range that we talked about in previous days, it is still relevant. In this sideways range that we are tracking, we can identify a potential triangle pattern, a so-called Elliott Wave triangle. We can label it as, for example, A, B, C, D, E, and then from there, an upside breakout is possible. However, I wouldn't necessarily bet on that because you can't really expect it to go higher than 100%, right? So overall, the idea is, though, that this is for now a range. You can also count the triangle in a different way. If you approach it from an Elliott wave point of view, it could be an A wave down, and then the B wave is a triangle, A, B, C, D, E, before we go down lower. We don't know. Triangles are not necessarily giving us direction. They are directionless. It's just indicating that we're dealing with a larger sideways range. However, what we are dealing with is a rally at the moment from the 2022 low. And it's, in my view, from an Elliott wave point of view, considered a 5-wave move up, at least this bit from the 2022 low. And that means we could be close to completing. I mean, it looks like it, right? But we have not topped yet. It still is pushing. And I've added here some standard Fibonacci extensions onto the chart, obviously 66.4% to 69.3%. And I'm interested to see how it reacts to the trend line. I think what we might get is maybe a brief break above the trend line and then a move down or something, Maybe like a lot of people are watching that trend line, so we might get a brief break above. But please keep in mind, this is not a tradable asset as such. So not necessarily tradable. So market sentiment, as we track it with Elliott Wave, only really applies indirectly here. I think what's also important to mention is what are other resistance levels, right? I mean, I added here some micro targets, but can we identify some additional resistances? And of course, what we have is this significant swing high here from 2021. I mean, there's no reason why it couldn't get to that level again. Right? It could. I mean, it's basically a bit of a range here, around 73% to 73.6%. And I'm not calling for that, but as long as the trend is up, this is not a reality for altcoins to flourish. A lot of people talking about altcoin season, but without actually Bitcoin giving us an indication, Bitcoin dominance, without giving us an indication it actually wants to go down, this is not a space for altcoins to flourish. And that's been a situation throughout this entire cycle. So I think the next focus will be, first of all, on these levels. On the micro level, 66.4%, 69.3%, and then 68.5% is also one. That's actually a retracement level, not a Fibonacci extension level. And that is, I think, relevant, the 88.7 Fib level, because you can see how well it's not a price, but the value reacted here to the 78.6 retracement. That was on I think it was here in the week, early February. Yeah. And then another reaction and a pullback, and okay, then we pushed above, but still there were reactions. So that could be quite meaningful. For now, the trend is still up, right? Today, a little bit of rather consolidation, but overall, you can see here we're still printing higher highs and higher lows, and we're now approaching that blue target zone, relevant for the micro patterns. And the trend line is currently coming in at around 67.4%. So I would, at the moment, expect that to be tested, but there is, at the moment anyway, no sign of a top. So I think in the short term, still not really the environment for altcoins to flourish. Bitcoin is still leading the way. You need to keep this in mind when you watch the altcoin analysis, where I share Elliott Wave structures, and when you watch the Bitcoin analysis. I mean, when we have bullish altcoin setups and a bullish Bitcoin setup, then based on this, you would normally expect Bitcoin to still outperform. Yeah, there can always be individual exceptions, but that's broadly at the moment the case until we finally see some downside momentum come in. Yeah, that's the update on Bitcoin dominance. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. Yeah, and if you're interested in additional updates, make sure you check out also our X profile for additional updates. You can follow us here, discuss with us, share your ideas about charts, and we also share a lot of analysis here and much more. So check it out. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.